morning, good afternoon, good evening. Somebody sent me this photo and with a comment, the t-shirts are selling like hotcakes. Well. The problem is some people never learn. It's all very well saying Vanhu, havachadi. People do not want. In the present political atmosphere in Zimbabwe, people will understand that means people do not want the Mnangagwa dictatorship. They want a better life. They want a country whose leaders are elected by the people of Zimbabwe, not imposed by a few. These are the details that should be discussed, that should be understood. Because unless you understand those details, you are going to be shortchanged. Of course, you'll be shortchanged. How many times have the people of Zimbabwe been shortchanged? It's unbelievable. If you go back to the Liberation War, it was fighting to end white colonial oppression. The details are the people wanted to have a meaningful say in the governance of the country. One man, one vote. They wanted to have access to resources, basic resources like land. One of the issues I've said on this platform many times is the issue of the whites denying the blacks title deeds, particularly the rural people. The country had designated tribal trust lands or communal areas. In those areas, you were given a piece of land on which you could build your mud hut, but you were never given the title deeds to that piece of land. So the headman can ask you to move, and you had no choice but to move. A renowned Zimbabwean economist and banker, John Robertson, advised Ian Smith that if he was to give the blacks title deeds to the land, they will build for themselves better houses and not the mud huts. They will invest resources into building better homesteads. They would dig wells, they would plant fruit trees, in that even if it is just a few acres of land, which they hold the title deed, because they will have the confidence knowing that even if they should die, they will leave that as an inheritance to their family, to their children and their grandchildren. Even if they should decide they want to move, they can sell it as an ongoing concern. Whereas if you don't have title deeds, you may have the ownership of the hut itself, but the land around it could be given to somebody else. This has undermined the confidence in people and stopped people investing in the rural areas. Even to this day, most of the people of the decent homes you see being built, they are being built in urban centers because there at least you have got title deeds. In the rural areas, you don't. When John Robertson told Ian Smith that it made a lot of economic sense to give people, the blacks, title deeds to the land, Ian Smith rejected the proposal on the grounds that if he gave the blacks title deeds to the land, that will economically empower them, and the next thing they would want is political empowerment. Interestingly enough, John Robertson gave Mugabe the same advice: give the people title deeds to the land, the rural people. And Mugabe rejected it for the same selfish political reasons. He did not want the rural, poor peasants economically empowered, because if they are, the party will lose control all over them. Here is one of Zimbabwe's leading politicians, Margaret Longo. She was in the war herself. She carried arms and fought in the Liberation War. And after independence, she was a ZANU-PF member of parliament until she fell out with Mugabe. And then she became an independent member of parliament for a while, talking to this issue of why the ordinary blacks are not being allowed to have their foot on the economic ladder.
They have wrong priorities, especially the current government. How can you go and build an airport which services a few people, and the majority are the elite and the so-called investors? Look at the rural. I made you come to interview me because I wanted you to have the experience of the roads that we are using. If we go today to our hospital there, you feel pity with that's a hospital in a rural area. If we go to our clinic, you feel pity. We have no piped water here. Do you know the reason why the rural people vote for ZANU-PF? One, they're intimidated. Two, the policy is that the rural people should remain poor and subservient to the government. They should remain poor, because if they remain poor, they continue singing the song for their master. This is why these people have been impoverished. It's for a reason. Because at the moment, if you economically empower these people, they'll go out of hand. ZANU-PF will never have control over them.
So it is important that we we have detail. It is not enough to just say we want people are tired. havachadi. Because with that simplistic approach, the people participated in the liberation war. Only when independence came, ZANU-PF changed the goalpost. Instead of delivering on the promises of freedom, justice, and human rights for all, the people were told literally that the liberation war was to remove white colonial oppression. In other words, what came thereafter is another matter. They were shortchanged. And as it so happened, the nation replaced the white colonial oppressors with the black oppressors. Robert Mugabe and his ZANU-PF set out to create and retain the de facto one-party state that has ruled the country. This is where our problem is. And we cannot pretend not to see that. In 2017, the military coup, the people believed the military coup was to end the ZANU-PF dictatorship. And they went out in the hundreds of thousands to support the military coup. But once again, they were shortchanged. Turned out the coup was to replace Mugabe with Mnangagwa. In other words, while the people thought it was about ending the dictatorship, it turned out it was just to facilitate the swapping of one dictator for another. And I think with 2017, people should have learned that it is detail matters. It is not enough to say Vanhu havachadi and you go on the street. Because you may find yourself being used yet again. In this case here, being used to facilitate another swap of one dictator for another. That's all you'll achieve. And worst of all, these people would see your coming out to support them as giving them legitimacy to continue with the dictatorship. You need to articulate what is it exactly you want and make sure that those people understand it and you've got the assurances that this is a fight to end the dictatorship and not just to facilitate another swap of one dictator for another. We can't keep on going round and round in circles. over the same issue. Detail matters. Indeed, detail is everything. We have been shortchanged so many times. I think we really need to wake up and become smart enough to realize that this cannot carry on. I'll just finish with a short video clip of somebody commenting about Traore of Burkina Faso.
Traore of Burkina Faso has turned down an invitation from President Trump. Now, this is a first because usually African leaders are falling over themselves to get an invitation to go to United States of America on a state visit. But Traore said that no, he was busy with building projects and other things that he was busy doing. Now, Trump is said to have been very upset because obviously to him, this is not giving him enough respect. And of course, we know Donald Trump, he demands that he be given the respect he thinks he deserves. And not only that, but Traore has also banned Western media from his country because he said that his country needs privacy. That his country needs privacy. Like, bam! His country needs privacy. Like, this guy, like, he's the best. He should become the president of the United States of Africa. Isn't he the best leader that we need in Africa? We don't need all these puppets running around and bowing to imperial.
Well, she does have a point there. And I think Ibrahim Traore has accomplished a lot of things. My main contention with him and his style of government is nations are meant to last for not just one generation, but for many, many generations to come. We need political systems that addresses that long term. I am waiting to see how President Traore is going to handle the issue of free, fair, and credible elections. His banning of Western media is this going to also come met with the banning of the press in that country? So there will be no freedom of expression. There will be no democratic discourse. Those are some of the values that guarantees stability and economic prosperity. A nation's prosperity should not depend on one individual. It should depend on the whole nation. The people should have a meaningful say on who governs the country. It's all very well to say he should be president of all Africa. What about if somebody else, like Mnangagwa, was for, we cannot go into detail how he gets in, but he gets in. In our case here, we know Mnangagwa rigs elections. So to be president of all Africa probably will be looking at some kind of election process going ahead. The trouble is, if you've got a dictator who gets into power, he would want to enjoy the same powers that Ibrahim Traore is enjoying. And if he rigs elections, we'll be stuck with him. I think I join the rest of the world in applauding what Ibrahim Traore has achieved. But nonetheless, we have got to keep reminding him that there is need to address the issue of a stable political system for the country. We must address the need to have a political system that allows a meaningful say for all the people, not just a select few. He came into power through a military coup. If we are going to encourage military coups, we have got to be also be aware of the fact that some military coups do not necessarily deliver competent leaders. We in Zimbabwe know that. We've got first-hand knowledge of that. The 2017 military coup, it is a military coup. Those who were behind it wanted to pretend that it was a military-assisted transition. It's all nonsense. It was a military coup. It delivered no meaningful change whatsoever. All we did was replace one dictator with another. That is all we achieved. And therefore, then I would be loathed to encourage people to think that what happened in Burkina Faso will necessarily happen in Zimbabwe. And as for Burkina Faso itself, as much as the people may be cheering and applauding what Traore has achieved so far, they should also be aware that if he should, after all, he is human, he is not immortal. If he should pass away, who is going to take his place? If he doesn't have vision, they could well be stuck with that leader for decades. All that Traore has achieved can be undone within a few years. We in Zimbabwe know that. 1980 Zimbabwe was an upper middle income nation. It had the potential to become the South Korea of Africa. But look where we are. The nation could not only feed itself, but would produce enough food to be the bread basket of the region. or that has disappeared. We really need to be very careful what it is we're asking for. And I think Zimbabweans should start paying attention to detail. If we seriously think we can achieve a prosperous, just nation without attending to detail, then we are in for a surprise. Because like I said, detail matters. And indeed, detail is everything. Thank you very much. Have a good day.